Okay, we'll now jump into the areas to improve or lessons learned. We'll go through them quickly. They're mainly points either for the PM to improve on site, on sales, all those things. Include cranes for unloading and positioning where possible. I understand at the start, sometimes we don't get sufficient information from the clients. Where is the boiler room, all those things. I think we should try our best to include something anyways, because even if it's as a cost plus, because in the case of Laurent, it caused a lot of delay relying on them, because what they did is they wanted to save money. They said, we will bring cranes from around the site whenever they're free to do your things. So we would tell them, okay, we need the crane at 12 o'clock to position the feed tank, and 12 o'clock, the crane is not there yet, and Roger would still be waiting for an hour until that crane is free. It's Laurent's, part of it is Laurent's problem, because they were being cheap and didn't want to pay more money for franners or cranes. So we were like in their mercy whenever they're free to provide the crane. So it was very annoying and caused a lot of delay on site.
In saying that, that was their request to take it out because they provide for it. So what do? If the client comes back to you and says, okay, take this out, take the water softener out, we don't need it, we provide for it.
Yeah.
I think I would, in this situation, okay, but if you cause delays, this will be an emotion cost of 150 now.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
it's very difficult to agree. I know, call it a variation. They're very difficult to talk to and to discuss these things. But it was their call to take out the lifting equipment, so they should be paying variation if it was
we should discuss it in the outset. Like when this was sort of an iffy idea, like, okay, if you want it, you guys provide the crane, but if you delay us, these are our standby rates.
I'll jump into, there is a point in there that kind of sums up the Laurent experience, and we'll go into that in details in a second. Okay, moving on. When purchasing the flex boilers, and I think we've picked that up already, purchase the safety valves with them where possible. Just adding a note to that, after verifying the set pressure. After I bought those spare valves, and I had to buy valves at maximum working pressure, not set pressure. According to Cleaver Brooks, it's because of something it asked me, which we don't need to comply with. We need to comply with the Australian standard, which gives us the set pressure, not the maximum allowable. So that's something we might need to discuss with them and see what they can give us. The feed water tank was underestimated. We need to check on basically from project to project. There is only one local manufacturer I know of, Wilson. If you know of other suppliers, get quotes from them. Unless we have a tank here from Itchy.
Uncommon maybe, it was my typo. I said a 2 meter cube tank, which they absolutely do not need.
Exactly, yeah.
So we provided 2 meter cube tank.
We did provide 2 meter.
I did ask for, it wasn't specified that a 2 meter cube is a water volume, so it could have been smaller.
What point electrical site installations hours and material were underestimated at the budget. Electrical work, and that's in general, takes more time and resources than we estimate them. Was budgeted, I think, 16 hours. Aaron was there for 79. And a huge portion of it was mounting the panel, running the cable tray. That was a huge portion of it.
With the electrical install, it's not wise. What's happening to me now with Daily Smith. Having one electrician to work, you need two there at least for the first few days to get the trays up and get the infrastructure and the cables run.
Yeah.
And then the terminator can just be one guy.
Yeah.
It's a two-man job. You know, it'd be ideal if you have an electrical apprentice, at least someone to give them a hand.
And the feedback that I always get from the guys, termination takes a long time. I hear that all the time now. So.
Sorry if I'm being a bit like electrical works. So apart from connecting the control panel with the boiler trims and all of the controls, what other electrical works on site do we need? Because usually it's
mounting the panel, running cable trays, running cables.
Cable trays for what? To where?
From the panel to the boiler.
Panel to the boiler.
See, like that is something that I have not foreseen, that the panel, how far the panel will be.
Well, it's...
And usually the panels are on the boiler.
Yeah. And
so that is, very important point for me. Like
the panel is not far.
From side to side as well, from what you're saying. Like if you go on a side where you put the panel like 5 meters away, and I haven't, no.
If the panel is 5 meters away on another site, it's 20 meters away. It doesn't make much difference in running the cable. Mainly it's because it's a flex boiler. The flex boiler has access doors from both sides, so you cannot put the panel and block one of the accesses. So you have to have it kind of standing alone or on a wall.
Is it on their drawings as well, on the Clearbrook's drawings? Where is it on the Clearbrook's drawings?
It'll be there. It's this access doors that are on the side. It's just like a door you kind of lift and open, and you access the boiler vessel.
Where is the control panel on the
You can
Clearbrook's
buy
drawings?
you can buy the Clearbrook's with the panel.
The burner came with a bracket for a panel that is roughly 400 by 300 or 400 by 400. Came with that bracket mounted on the burner.
So that will usually be enough for the. So it's also
I don't know.
Our choosing of the control panel.
We've got 400, I'd say 300 by 400, 500 by 600. There's no way we're getting any TC stuff in there.
Yeah.
We have a 1.2 meters by 1 meter panel, and that's adequate really to move spacing, but it's not ridiculous.
But these are the discussion I need to have with you guys, because I would have had no idea when I was coding that this is going to happen, that we have a huge control panel that does not go on the boiler. So.
Yeah, with the ETC, basically, it won't be that small. And with the flex, like I said, so it has to be a separate
so I need
floor
to
mounted.
Electrical material and electrical installation works because of the size of the control panel.
In that case, the unistrut that was used for mounting the panel and running the cables was almost 2K on its own. I didn't have time, to be honest, to look for cheaper prices. But when I was looking with Will Panlock, his assessment is there won't be much price difference. There are different brands, Easy Strut, Unistrut, they're all the same.
Is there a better way of doing the panel, saying like when we position it, or can we put a smaller one? Is there like a better way?
A slightly smaller panel isn't much cheaper. Like the panel that's 1 meter by 1.2, which is standard that we've used on the last half a dozen projects. If you go one size smaller, it can go up in price depending. It's not a real cheaper cost.
This is what I'm dealing with. I need to consider it for all our boilers.
If you want, we can check with Glenn with Clearbrook's the size of the panel they provide, and see with Glenn if that panel is doable or not, or with with our guys and see and have the panel mounted on the. But yeah, so that can be checked absolutely. So it will save all that you disrupt. Point 5, exclude any work relating flashing and roof wall penetration. My opinion, yeah, let's stay away from that work. We're not familiar with it. We're not familiar with the pricing. It just adds a headache for us that is not necessary. And in that case, what happened in Laurent, we priced the flashing. It was in the code, but we didn't allow for cutting the roof. So it was kind of weird. I will provide, but you cut the roof, and it reached to a standstill with the builder, with me and him. And he said, "No, you're cutting the roof." And I'm telling him, "No, it's not in the contract," and he just doesn't want to understand. So my opinion, let's just leave it completely.
We need to discuss it further. I used to be like that as well. But with our clients, they don't always have the capability to do it, or it's not easy for them. And in the end, we have a snap going through the roof, and it takes them 2 weeks to seal it. And then the water comes in, and even though it's not our fault that it's coming in, it causes us problems. So sometimes it's easier just to budget it and just get it done. I mean, you budget plumber, a roof plumber, or plumber, and if as long as the costs are covered in the budget, it's not so much of a problem.
If that is the case, I'm fine with it.
It needs to be budgeted though. And the
Budgeted.
fractions are not cheap, especially with
They're not cheap, and also I don't know if there are any implications if we cut the roof ourselves, like in terms of warranty of the roof. Like it's,
we cut the roof all the vents and things like that. It's more if we have to, if we become unlucky and it goes through a purley and it needs to be structurally changed. That was hilarious.
Okay. Point number 6: include auto feed water control valve in the scope of supply where possible. Understand the valve itself is not expensive. I understand some projects are cheap, but what happens with Laurent is it's not considered, and we don't need to consider it. The standard doesn't ask for it. So what happened is, when we had all that trouble with all those call-outs and the boiler was tripping, every time it was tripping, the boiler was flooding, and they didn't have an operator on site, so nobody knew what to do, so they would call us.
And what caused it? So you have the stand-up, the feed water up high in the boiler.
Yeah. So basically,
where's the water going on?
in the case of the flex,
through the pump,
through the pump, and from the pump,
it goes up to the top.
Not to the top. There's a connection like halfway through somewhere around here, in the flex.
So when it wasn't using water, it just
so when the boiler fails, trips for any reason, the pump stops, the burner stops, and that head just pushes and it floods the water. So they cannot just simply go and reset the boiler because they have to blow it down. So we were unlucky. It's the circumstances that there is no operator, nobody's there who knows. So it was a headache for us. When we put that, it fixed all the problems for us. Any questions about that? We got that, like, you can get from process systems or Campy, and they're quite cheap. Feed water tank was that point repeated? Yes, it's repeated. Sorry about that. Okay. that point, I think we already discussed it in the cost report. It's the estimation of the mech. A job like that, I think it's best to budget for 2 mechs instead of 1 mech and 1 apprentice.
I think so as well. One mechanic from one apprentice just doesn't feel enough. There's too much going on.
Yeah. So use pressure transmitters instead of level. Basically, what we're having a lot of trouble with the water level probe involved. We're still not sure why yet. But from previous projects, Chachura has pressure transmitters, Ridoc has pressure transmitters. I don't know if you've done other waters, and we never hear of any problems. So maybe kind of try and
It's expensive. That's the thing. Expensive.
Well, neither the probe is expensive.
Yeah, I know. It would be good to do a comparison because I mean the transmitter's expensive, and then there's those adapter flanges that are $500 each. You know, machining 2.5 inch flanges. We don't have anyone to draw those now. And then there's all the little needle valves and then stainless steel piping and whatnot. Like it needs to be compared up.
Well, yeah, I can do that, but we also have to drill the flange. Because of flange, so But in terms purely of the last year, transmitters have been really good. During the projects, that point is kind of summarizes a lot of the things. Whether the project is directly with the end user or is it a construction site. I feel there was a lot of problems because we negotiated directly with Laurent and they gave us the order and then they let us deal with the builder who was expecting something else. So it was a bit of a nightmare. Builders don't care about other services. They just care about their work. There is no, in the case of construction sites, there is no such thing in Australia as project coordinator. It used to be like that in all projects overseas. Nobody to coordinate with. If you have a problem with another contractor, you kind of have to deal with them directly. It's a bit of a mess. And the other problem as well, construction sites require drawings sometimes that we have not allowed for. In the case of Laurent, for example, they wanted layouts. They wanted to know where penetrations are. So Les had to do those for me. So, I just think we should ask at the start if it's a construction site. If it is, some more time needs to be allowed for PM, for drafting.
And that could also have been at the time of realizing that you're asked to do things that we haven't allowed for. You could have come to me saying, this is what's happening, then I will need drawings.
I already directly went to the client. The client just doesn't, like Laurent, didn't really want to get involved. They just want the work to keep going. So
it's a good point. And if there's things they're asking for that are not specifically in the scope and haven't been allowed for, just because the client says I want them, you shouldn't do them.
Yeah, no,
especially if it's got a reasonable cost on it.
Yeah.
So it should be a point for variation because we haven't allowed for it. Nobody told us we needed it. So
we should go back to the salesman, whoever has had the contact in the history, and just check.
Yeah. Produce more detailed PNID before installation. That's more for project management.
So that's we just need up PNID.
I produced a PNID, but the feedback from Roger was that you missed this detail, you missed that detail. So that's Yeah, it wasn't. Some things were assumptions. So
The PID is probably the most important drawing on the
yeah, yeah, and it's not.
It's a system
Yeah,
diagram.
yeah,
It starts.
exactly. Yeah,
So
with
it has
sizes.
to have everything that's going to be installed should be on the
Yeah, yeah, including vents and everything, like you said.
Can we take anything out of this PNID and include it on our standard PNIDs? Like, is there any lessons we've learned on this PNID that we can include on our standards? Because that's kind of the idea, you know, we have the standards.
I didn't compare, but if there's anything, it would be something very minor. Like the PNIDs that we have are quite comprehensive. If there's anything specifically in Laurent, it would be one or two things.
And do we have an up-to-date PID now?
Yes. Point 12, always request a trench for the blowdown line. It's for the blowdown line. It's kind of a good practice to always have the blowdown line embedded in the concrete. I realized later I could have asked for it and I could have got it. Unfortunately, I didn't think of it. I just asked for the drain points. They could have done it for me because they had the option to do so. But yes, it's a good practice, and it stops, like it's not a trip hazard anymore, and it protects the blowdown line more. So again, that's more of a project management thing.
That is a bit also why we usually leave the blowdown to them to do, because they, you know, can play around their side and how they want to blow down to the connected.
Well, it's always included.
It's not a drain, it's just a blowdown.
The blowdown,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
the blowdown. Yeah.
It sort of depends. It is
Kind of hard.
if it's in an area where there's traffic, it's much better to have it in a pit and then covered so things can go over the top. But if it's in I don't know, an area where there's no force, I don't know, like some clients don't see there's a pool and some do, some don't want to have the concrete.
Yeah.
Ideally they're there, but it would be very rarely that you get the option to actually have them.
Yeah, tell you
And which was the case. In the case of Laurent, it was a bush, so they built it from scratch. So I could have had a trench. Type of circuit breakers must be verified before purchase and install. That's more of a project management. There are two types of circuit breakers, something called C-curve and a D-curve. That's something that we need to verify before we purchase them for electrical install. I'm ordering nuts and bolts. Again, that's something, nuts and bolts, I should verify them with the installer first. Because when he's on site, some lengths can be wrong, short. So before purchasing them, I should double check with them, and they would confirm the sizes and the lengths and all that. Mark penetrations on the roofs, walls as early as possible during installation. That's something I should have put some pressure more on Roger. He did it like 2 or 3 days later after he was on site. They got delayed anyways, but it's something that's important. We need to do it as soon as the equipment is positioned in their locations. The first thing, just mark the penetrations and tell the customer they're ready. So, I don't know.
What was the problem?
We marked them like 3 days after site, and on the fourth day when I told them, please cut the markings, they replied back and say, why didn't you do that from day one? They delayed it. They did it like a month later anyways. But yeah, it's...
Why did we do it? It wasn't as scope.
No, it's always a scope. As soon as the equipment is positioned in their final location, our guys mark them. The one important thing that we need is where possible, stress where possible, allow for mechanical and electrical guys to test their install. Mechanical, maybe hydro test or use air if we're people like All Pipe have the facility to do that. with electrical connect power, make sure that they've terminated things wrong. And for example, in the case of Chuchura, we terminated an ETC controller wrongly, and when they turned it on, the controller burnt. So I think it's important, if somebody's saying I'll need 5 days to install this, let's give them a little bit more time to test their work. We could have probably maybe avoided a lot of the call-outs, some of the call-outs that we had. Text to fill relevant checklists while on site. It's just a better chance for them. That's something for the PM to remember. It's a better chance for them to pick up problems before they leave site, not after. Because after, they'll forget, they'll just want to fill out the page. Try to capture purchases of all material needed in the install at start of the install. That's mainly for the mechanical person. Usually there are bits and pieces that they need when they get to site. So again, it's good to capture them from the start and try to get the information, the material for them as soon as possible. Minimize the use of credit cards. I think we all know that's a given. Don't size blowdown valves based on the boiler blowdown connection. I did that with Laurent, just put a valve that is the size of the connection, but I think it's oversized, so in the future we might need to size it to a smaller size. It doesn't need to be that big. And the big one, specify the container size and type when ordering overseas shipping, just to avoid any Expeditors 2.0.
Yeah, of course we did, but the information we got was wrong.
We didn't specify. What I did is I wrote the value and I wrote the quotation reference, but still it wasn't enough. They came back arguing, saying, "Oh, I won't go into details, but yeah." And basically that's it. We just attached a couple of photos of the install. Had actually better photos after the plant was cleaned. Couldn't find it. And that's it. Questions? Anything that you think I've missed? Anything you want to add?
It was good. I think one other thing, it sort of turns out that the boiler's not really well suited to their needs. They just asked for a one, they sort of specified what they wanted and just went for it.
Yeah.
I think we should do a bit more customer service and just a little bit of checking to make sure they're asking for the right thing.
Yeah. I tried that with them, so I was the person that saw that job and I was the person talking to the customer. It was absolutely impossible to get anything out of them, so I've asked for documents on their equipment. I've asked them to have a meeting with me prior to I've called them, and I told this thing a couple of times, like I used to call them for a month, every week, twice, say, if you're in a hurry, like, talk to me, we need to discuss these things, you need to place the order as soon as possible so it's not too late, we need to check, I want to come out, I want to see.
Yeah.
If we tried to verify and we were unable to
this job, we were unlucky and a lot of things went wrong, and yeah.
The customer is really not easy to deal with.
Oh no, you don't have to tell me, to us. So.
It was like that from the start.
You're okay, Moisa? Do you have any comments? Anything aside from those things? Yes, so kind of work on those.
Yeah, no, it was good. I think we covered. We covered everything as we.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.